The luxury car brand Jaguar managed to set the internet on fire with a ridiculous and stupid commercial that had nothing to do with cars. Well, the cars that were supposed to be hinted at in that ridiculous ad were revealed. And let's just say it only made things worse.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. Now, I didn't really want to react to the initial Jaguar commercial because there were already so many people doing that, people much smarter than me. But when I saw these stupid looking cars that got revealed in the follow up commercial, I just had to say something. For those of you who don't remember, Jaguar put out this ad where it had a bunch of drag queens and androgynous looking people. They were walking in hallways on some weird pink landscape, and they were dressed like they were in the Hunger Games, and they were just kind of looking around, and it says break molds, copy nothing. And they were widely mocked and ridiculed. I mean, this is Jaguar. It's a luxury car brand that typically would be advertised to a predominantly successful businessman type of person, considering their price tag. But they went a totally different direction. And in fact, one of their execs defended the commercial. Well, they released a new commercial follow up where, it shows them, I guess, breaking out of the mold these new cars, which they say copy nothing, but they weirdly look like a short version of other vehicles that have come before them, like the PT Cruiser, for example. They look stupid, is the bottom line. These cars look ridiculous. And I know there's some people say, oh, if it was black, you would buy it. I wouldn't buy this if it was my favorite color blue, which happens to be navy blue. I would not touch these cars with a 10-foot pole. Yes, I would be Mr. Grinch, I guess. I think it's silly and stupid, and what went wrong here? I'm a marketing professional, so I wanted to kind of take a deep dive into this, and I found three things here that didn't make sense. Number one is they're trying to be too trendy. This is a car company. This isn't a clothing brand. You don't have to follow every weird trend that appears on Tumblr. They had this come out in maybe 2018. It might have had less of an impact because that is when a lot of corporations were really pushing sort of this androgynous thing, and there are still companies still trying to do it. Certainly Hollywood is still trying to push this. They jumped on this trend too late, for one thing. For another, it's not a trend that matters to their core customer base. They've really missed the mark here. They really made themselves look ridiculous. When I first saw this commercial, I actually thought that it was a perfume commercial. Perfume and cologne commercials are stupid. I mean, the last good one was the Dior Sauvage commercials with Johnny Depp. But outside of that, I haven't really seen any good perfume or cologne commercials. They're always stupid, and they always have a French narrator for some reason. Golly. Anyway, all that to say, you don't have to jump on every single trend, especially if it doesn't match your product or your customer base. And Jaguar really missed the mark. So no, you don't have to jump on every single silly trend that appears on social media, on Twitter when it was owned by Jack Dorsey, or on Tumblr, or on any of the meta platforms. Just because something is trending doesn't mean that you should emulate it. And like I said, this is several years too late. Number two, board members need to be more active with who they're hiring. We saw this with Bud Light, right? They hired that crazy, insane woman who then decided it would be a good idea to collab with Dylan Mulvaney, that creepy TikTok star, and also go and do an interview where she ridicules her customer base. We also saw this with Gillette with their commercial "The Best a Man Can Be," which was immediately followed by a commercial with a trans person shaving for some reason. So it immediately goes from the best a man can get to the best a trans can get. We've seen this with Harley Davidson. They were trying to go woke and push these DEI, didn't earn it initiatives, or these ESG initiatives, this woke ideology. In fact, I would recommend following Robbie Starbuck. He has been critical in exposing these companies that do that with these hiring practices. I mean, we saw the Tractor Supply Company try to go woke. What? Talk about not knowing who your base is, your customer base. That is so ridiculous and silly. And these corporations, they have a board, and they typically give the hiring power to the CEO or the upper management of the company. The board doesn't mess with that. But it's becoming more and more clear that corporate boards, if they want to make money, need to keep a closer eye on who they have hired. And in the case of the crazy Bud Light lady, we actually don't know what happened because there were conflicting reports. Some people say they just suspended her because she cost the company millions of dollars. Some people say that she was fired. Some people say she's still hired, but she's just not allowed to publicly speak anymore because of, how she ruined the brand. I don't know if that's the truth. Clearly, they need to start looking for marketing people who have actual experience and not are terminally online on these social media platforms. And listen, I'm a social media marketer, I'm a digital marketer. Social media has a part to play, but you should see it as a tool, not as feedback for what you should be doing. And Jaguar made this mistake because they're pretty much their entire staff is all in on this woke ideology. Maybe the board needs to step in, but who knows? They may be for it too. I mean, this is a United Kingdom company, and we know that the UK, Canada, mainland Europe, they're years ahead of us when it comes to this woke nonsense. They are pushing it so hard and so wide, and it's ridiculous that these corporate boards can't see the handwriting on the wall, especially what's going on with the United States. We saw this in the previous election where, we had a bunch of Hollywood figures like J-Lo, Jenny from the Block, and Beyonce and Charlemagne and Sean Astin, and all of these ridiculous, silly looking celebrities wagging their finger at us. And we all said, no, thank you. That is going to happen, I imagine, in Europe. And we're seeing changes in certain European countries as well. So hopefully the end of woke is nigh. I mean, we won a very significant battle against it, but the war to stop woke continues on, especially as long as these corporate oversights continue to hire these know nothing straight out of college who, got some degree in gender studies and they don't even know about marketing or publicity or creating brands. I mean, look at Disney, right? They still haven't gotten rid of Kathleen Kennedy. They still haven't gotten rid of Bob Iger. So I don't know what's going to go on with that, but hopefully these boards will wake up and do something about it. Okay, so the third and final thing is it's clear Jaguar has lost touch with its audience. And this is true of all these woke companies. Bud Light, Disney, Harley Davidson, the Tractor Supply Company, all of these other companies that I've named, they have clearly lost touch with their customer base. And it's such a sad thing to see. Whoever thought that this sort of promotion and this new car release was smart should be fired. They're clearly not smart. They're clearly stupid. And they are costing their brands so much money. That's how a corporation needs to operate. I'm not one of these people who thinks if you earn money, whether you be a company or an individual, that you're a bad person. It's how you behave with that money. And right now, these companies are just throwing millions, sometimes billions of dollars into these woke initiatives that the public has largely rejected. But they want to be stubborn, and instead of listening, to their customers who give them money for the products, instead of listening to them, they say, no, we know better, right? That's, you need to do better, right? That's the Marvel brand now. Do better. Point is, they have lost all semblance of it. And this is something that I always tell younger marketers, whether it be on social media or digital spaces or wherever the place is. This is what I tell them. Do not lose touch with your customer base. It's good to expand your customer base. Nothing wrong with that. Do expansions, find new ways to put your product into other people's hands who maybe in some cases might not have looked at it, but you can't do that at the expense of your main customer base. For instance, I use Disney as an example, so I'll switch gears a little bit. Let's use Warner Brothers for an example. So they knew that Harley Quinn, right, had a huge fan base among Batman fans. However, what they don't realize is most of us remember Harley Quinn either from Batman the Animated Series or from the Arkham games, where she was portrayed very well, and that is the core of her character. However, in the comics, they decided to change her orientation. They decided to make her like a Deadpool anti-hero knockoff. So it affected negatively movies like The Suicide Squad, like Birds of Prey, as well as the latest one, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, how they poisoned that well because they lost touch with their customers and they were like, no, we know better. This Harley Quinn is the better Harley Quinn. She can humiliate Batman and gameplay, that's totally fine. She can totally humiliate Batman in her own animated show. And it's just really embarrassing how these companies have gone this route where they have completely lost touch of who they're connected with. I mean, we see this all the time in Hollywood, and it's so sad to see a car company like Jaguar, which had such an iconic brand, not only break molds, but outright reject their audience, mock them, change their iconic logo to something stupid, and go on from there. I hope they're happy losing money. Now, there might be some soy drinking California TikTokers who will buy a few of these cars, but I have a feeling that older used Jaguars are going to suddenly go up in stock. So, yeah, you don't have to follow every single trend that appears on social media. The corporate boards need to pay more attention to who is being hired at their companies and what initiatives are being started. And you need to stay in touch with your customer base. We have learned all these lessons from these companies like Warner Brothers, Disney, Jaguar now, Bud Light, Gillette. All of these companies have suffered because they made those three big mistakes, among other things. But those, in my opinion, as a marketing professional, and I have a feeling maybe they'll course correct, especially with the way things are kind of swinging in the other direction, the Overton window swinging in the other direction, but we'll have to wait and see. Oh, and by the way, Jaguar, go woke, go broke. If you liked that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment on what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications whenever I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. Please head on over to my website, StudioJakeMedia.com. You can sign up for free with your email address, and best of all, there's no ads. You just get an email when I post a new article, and I always post at least daily, sometimes more, but at least you get an article once a day where you can read my reviews or other news that is happening in the pop culture space. If you want to support me, head on over to my locals community. The link is in the description. You can sign up for a monthly subscription, or you can send my articles tips, and I have articles there that are just for my locals community, so you'll definitely want to check those out. If you really want to help me out even further, which I greatly appreciate, check out my novels. I've got the supernatural thriller Cacophony. I've got the Seven Royal series, which includes the first book, All Good Things, and its sequel, Breaking the Stars. It's a high fantasy series about a group of your favorite fairy tale characters who have to stop a dark army from conquering their lands. And then, of course, I have my latest, which is Blessed Child. Check it out. It's life affirming. It's adventurous, it's romantic. I think you're going to enjoy it. And best of all, if your kids are age 12 and up, they can read the books right along with you, so it can be a good family experience. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride.